Right?
Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. Happy Monday again. We are back with the Ted Show. Beyond excited to have this lovely young lady on the show. Feet King is here, and we're going to be talking about the Calvary Ain't Comin. You get to save yourself. I love this title. I love her work. I think she's an amazing human being, and I'm very honored to have you on. Welcome, Fee.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you so much. I am honored to be on.
It's just so wonderful to see somebody. I don't take a deep dive a lot of times with guests because I like to kind of be surprised like the audience is. But I
Mhm.
saw you had so much good positive content. And so I just said that she's the right person.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have you. All right. So enough about me talking. Let's get to know Fee before we take a deep dive in the topic. Tell them a little origin story about you.
Origin. Okay. I am, if you can believe this, from Omaha, Nebraska, born and raised, very proud Cornhusker. Yes.
Cornhusker. Would not have guessed that.
Right? No one does. People think New York, and I'm like, oh, you have no idea. Born and raised in Omaha, and who knew that I was going to grow up to be somewhat of a gypsy? I've lived in Colorado, Texas, Orlando, Florida, and Bowie, Maryland, LA for 22 years, and now be more loving Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow.
Yes.
All the travel. Why all the travel?
Because I was running. Yep. That's the truth. At first I thought, oh, because I like to move. Who really likes to move? No one really likes to move, even if you're in the military. So I was running, running from Omaha, running from my upbringing, my childhood, running from the pain. And then it became kind of fun, and I got used to running until I got to Orlando. hmm
Yeah.
And
And
that's
then
when,
what happened?
well, I moved to Orlando from LA. And here's a date. We all have those dates. We'll never forget where we were, like 9/11. We all know exactly where we were. I remember exactly when I arrived in Orlando. It was December 19th, 2016. 3 days in, I knew, oh my God, I made a huge mistake. And I get a little emotional because it was one of those mistakes where I didn't think I could correct it because I felt like I didn't have anything tangible. I was like, you got to sit with this. And so I sat with it for 13 months. I moved to Orlando for love.
There's the answer.
And it was life affirming and life changing. And it allowed me to sit with my ish and to deal with it and to realize you've been running for almost 30 years.
Right.
So what are
Why the
you
running? Why? And you share what you would like, but why the running? What were you? You said you were running from uh, Omaha, and you were running from things. Why was the running such a driving force for you?
because I thought it was giving me, or I was taking back control. And then I also didn't want to deal with it. So if I didn't have to see it or see them, then I felt like I was okay. It's like, okay, that's over there, but I'm here now, so I'm okay.
Right.
And it took a lot of years to really own that because I really thought I was having an adventure. I didn't realize that I was running from my past, which I was running from myself. So everywhere I showed up, I was showing care. Right? Like, you're still
You
here.
can't run from you.
Yeah.
So what was the journey like here? Why was Orlando the life-changing one? Because it's the first time that you had to take a deep breath and actually face your ish.
Yes. Well, it was because in the past, like my mother taught my sister and I to always be independent, to never rely upon specifically a man for to take care of you. And so I made an agreement with this man. I'm going to work. Yay. I get to work on my dream. Yay. Soon as I got there, he got amnesia. He was like, I didn't say that. And it was like, whoa. So
Whoa.
I was paralyzed. I felt like I don't have my own money. I don't have all the things that my mother taught me to always have so that you're self-sufficient. You can always take care of yourself. And so I dove into a deep depression. I was just sad because I was confused. I'm like, okay, so if I'm not taking care of me and he's not taking care of me the way that I wanted and believed and thought he would, then who's going to take care of me?
Right.
And so it was all foreign. And then I'm 46. You just feel like, okay, at your age, you should not be here. You should have chosen better. You should have made better decisions for your life. And I was literally stuck. I felt like I was in an open air prison. And it forced me to deal with, again, my issue. It forced me to figure it out. And I've always known how to take care of myself, but I had never been in that predicament before, ever in my life. And again, I'm 46. So I felt
You look
old.
good.
I felt old. I felt irresponsible. I just felt like I was spiraling out of control. I'm like, how do you wait until this age to spiral out of control? And I had a lot of judgment towards myself. The outcome was I figured it out and I got the hell up out of beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida. I ran again, but for the right reasons.
But you ran for the right reasons. What was the discovery? What did you finally realize? All right, because people do put pressure on themselves. I think people think that they should be a certain place at a certain time in their lives. But like you, if you're not dealing with the things that you have been burying or hiding for so long, of course you're not going to make the progress you want to make. What was it that changed you? What was it that changed you here? Was it getting the right help? Was it finding the right tribe? Because I think people are looking for ways to figure out how to get out of their own brains.
Yes, that is a great question, Ted. What helped me was Toastmasters International. Oh my gosh.
I would have never guessed that answer. So I love that. And you're getting emotional about it. Why?
Because
Take your time, love.
when I showed up at Toastmasters, there were two people, a young guy named Dwight Dillon, and he'd invited a guest. Her name escapes me right now, but she's amazing. And, you know, people see me, they're like, oh, Fee, you're so happy, you're so positive. And I was so broken, and I was so sad, and I felt so alone for the first time in my adult life. Like I didn't have friends, I didn't know anyone except for the man that I was dating. And I didn't have a support system, but there was something internally that woke me up in the morning, which of course is God, but kept me moving. I just knew I had to move. I had this seeking spirit, and I was like, if I stay and stop and not move, I'm going to die. Like for me, life is life and death. Either I'm living or I'm dying. And they were so warm, and they didn't judge me for crying because I literally broke down. I was crying. I didn't have a job. I didn't have money. All I had was that moment. So I'm there. They embraced me. They hugged me. And it was the first time I felt like, okay, I might have some friends. I might have some support. And I immersed myself in Toastmasters, and CEO Toastmasters in Orlando, which is near UCF, saved my life. I became the vice president of PR within like a month. I was Toastmasters mascot. I love the people. Each and every person was my lifeline, and they didn't even know what was going on. I didn't tell anyone what was going on until I gave my I'm leaving speech. And so those people saved everything for me, meaning they helped me to save my own life. And a lot of it was writing speeches and looking at my life condition, because all of the speeches were about my life. And so being able to share it and receive critique, we don't critical critique. It helped me to look at my own life and to realize that no one's going to save you, Felicia. No one's going to save you. you have got to do the work. And then I went from having or thinking that I had to do the work to realizing you actually get to go on this journey with yourself.
I love that choice of words. I think it is such a powerful shift. I've talked about this on the show before. You get to wake up and go to work. You get to be in positive relationships. You get to do so many things instead of framing it as, I have to go to work. I have to go to this network meeting. I love the fact that it was Toastmasters for you because you found your tribe. We just talked about this on the show before, yours. We talked about finding your tribe is so important. It sounds cliche, but it is so critical for someone to figure that out so that they can begin to heal and move on when they need to move on and all of that. So kudos to you and thank you for sharing that. I got all sorts of choked up. It's a beautiful story. So you leave, though, you get the power, you are empowered, and you feel good enough to get out of Dodge/Orlando. Why? Why'd you leave? What was it you were going toward?
It was the first time where I realized I had to take care of myself. However, I needed help. And that's not a word that I use a lot. I don't ask for help often. And so I said, going back to LA with the cost of living, having no money, no job, I left a career in LA. I left friends who had become my family. I was like, girl, I don't know if you want to go back to that kind of hustle, that kind of grind. And then I heard myself, I said, go back. So it felt like I was going back to something, but there was nothing to go back to. I said, you got to move forward. I had a conversation with my sister who lived at the time in Bowie, and she'd been asking me to move to Maryland for years. I was like, what would I do there? I was like, I'm an actor. I got real bougie. I was like, I'm a creative. What in the world would I do in Maryland? And she was like, well, either you're going to stay there and you have nothing there, or you're going to come here. She said, you can live with me, figure it out. And I was like, ooh, Lord, live with my younger sister. God help me. I shipped some stuff, got on that plane, and I moved in with my sister. I gave myself 5 months. You will figure it out in 5 months. I moved out 5 months and a week later.
Wow.
Yes.
What happened in Maryland that was different? What was it that was going on there? I know you came to it with a different spirit than you had come to any other journey that you had traveled. But what was it there that was so cathartic and healing for you?
It was a lot of things. It was a sense of urgency because I didn't want to feel like a leech. I didn't want to be that 46-year-old woman who lived with her sister, her baby sister, her younger sister, in her big, fabulous house. And I wanted to own my power again. I thought, I've been taking care of myself really since the age of 12. I've been making my own money, opening up my own accounts. I've been traveling since 17. And I just thought, I want to get back to myself, but not to who and where I was, but I want to go somewhere further. So for me, there was a sense of urgency. Again, I didn't know anyone in Maryland except for my sister and a couple of her friends. And I think just having family for the first time, this was the first time I lived in the same city and state with any family in 30 years.
Wow.
Yes. So I thought, I think what's been missing in your life is family. You've been doing it on your own since the age of 17. Maybe it's time to actually solicit some help. And my sister she was a savings grace, but she didn't coddle me. You know what I mean? She was a lot tougher than I thought because, I wanted to cry. I remember 2 days after I arrived, I was sitting in my room, her room, one of her bedrooms. It was small. Everything I owned was in that bedroom. I was like, oh my God. So I'm crying. She walks in. She was like, why are you crying? And I'm thinking, in my life, I don't think, right? And she was like, yes, you do. She said, you get to figure it out. Like, figure it out and get a job, make some money, and rebuild your life. And she made it sound so simple. But then I thought, you're right. Figure it out. And I figured it out. I started doing Lyft and I started meeting people. I said, every person who gets in this Lyft is either going to be my new boo or my new bestie. That was my thing.
So you picked up, for those people who don't know, Lyft, I use Lyft all the time. Lyft is like Uber. And so it's a ride share, but you got to do that, which is you utilize that as a way for you to connect and kind of get your feet grounded.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's amazing. I think people like you obviously knew what you needed to do. You might not have known the exact steps, but you knew you needed to make a change to the way you had always done things.
Absolutely.
And so I think a lot of people are so afraid of the stigma. I've convinced more friends than I even care to count that maybe Uber and Lyft is what's for them in order for them to try to figure out what they're doing while they're making some money. Because the money thing can also get you down. If you're 100% dependent on somebody else, it's very difficult. So kudos to you for realizing that, look, this could be a real opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell me about tell me about the title. You know I love this title. I don't think I put anything else about it except the title, but why this title for the show?
Oh, okay. When I was in LA, one of the most important things for me to do was to ship all of my books. I'm a book girl. I love to read. I shipped all of my books. Coming from Orlando to LA, or to Maryland, I didn't have the resources. Books are really heavy. I gave all but 9 books to the Goodwill. Oh my goodness. One of the books was Start Where You Are by Chris Gardner, who is the author of Pursuit of Happiness. They made it into a film starring Will Smith. So I'm reading the book because I'm grasping for everything. I'm reading, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm working out. In the book, he talks about when he realized when he was homeless with his young son, sleeping in the train station restroom in Oakland. He realized in that moment, the Calvary ain't coming. There is no one who's coming to save me, meaning family, friends, a lover. He said in that moment, he realized I'm responsible for this child. I'm responsible for myself. I got to figure it out. And he said he figured it out in that restroom when someone was banging on the door, someone in here, someone in here. And he was like, I was pressing against the door because I didn't want them to come in, because for this moment, this is where we sleep. And I just kept reading that, and I was like, the Calvary. So then I looked it up. It's in Scripture. So I thought, okay, who's the Calvary? The Calvary is the army, right? For some people, the Calvary is a sugar daddy. The Calvary is someone you can borrow money from. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. And then I realized through running, because running is very meditative, I was like, no. You get to stop running from your life and run through it to get to the other side. You get to enjoy this journey, the ups and the downs, the ins and the outs, the ugliness of it. All of this is yours. You get to own it. And then you get to share it with other people who are like you, who might be 46 going on 47, thinking they should be somewhere, but yet they're not. Maybe they have gone through a divorce, or they've lost a loved one, a parent. They've lost a job, a career, they've lost themselves. And then I realized after reading a book by Dr. Christine Northrup that I was experiencing a midlife crisis. No one told me. No one told me that women have midlife crisis.
They don't tell you that.
Right. So I said, wow, I get to do all of these things for myself, but more importantly, I get to take responsibility for my life condition and create the life that I want, not the life that I thought I should have at 46. It's the life that I get to have. Then it became fun. I was like, okay, even through the hardships, because with Lyft, you don't make a lot of money. Right. I'm still in a relatively expensive city. It's not LA, but it's still a city. It's not Nebraska. So I had still had ups and downs and peaks and valleys, highs and lows, but I got to make a choice that no matter what, I'm going to embrace and enjoy this journey. And I'm going to rebuild like never before. So I believe that my comeback is going to be epic AF.
It should be. You have lived a life. We all have these things that we carry with us. We all have baggage. So many people are afraid to admit that they have baggage or weaknesses or a past, and it drags them down so that their relationships, their work relationships, their friendships, their goals aren't met. They are constantly being brought down because they haven't dealt with or figured out what it is. So I'm not saying it's easy, and neither is Fee. What we're saying is you've got to find that outlet. You have to figure out how to address the stuff, the ish, because if you don't, you will never get to where you're meant to be, in my opinion.
And I love that you said that you'll never get to where you need to be. I agree. I always talk about how to get from where you are to where you want to be. And one thing I know for sure is you'll never get there if you stay there. You have to keep moving. You got to stay in action. You get to visualize what it looks, feels, tastes like. I know exactly what I'm going to be wearing. I know exactly where I'm going to be eating because I can see it. It's so vivid in my mind. All of those things, but I knew that in order to get from there, I had to move. And when I say move, I don't mean move to Maryland, but to stay in action. I needed to work out. I needed to pray. I needed to meditate. I needed to journal, and I needed to own it. It was like, no one got you here. You made this choice. Just like when you said people talk about, oh, I have to go to work. You know, you filled out the application and you interviewed for that job.
Nobody likes to hear that, Fee. They're like, I have to go. No, you don't, but you get to. So why don't you reframe it? People underestimate the value and the impact and power of just the reframing, like you said, just that you get to do it. It's not a have to, it's a get to.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. So, but I think what I'd like to leave them with before we share all of your contact information is maybe one step or two. If somebody's watching, which there's plenty that are, and they are like, all right, I'm exactly what Fee is talking about. Any suggestions on a first step or a second step for them to begin to reframe and begin to address their stuff?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I will share with you what worked for me, which is affirmations. And one of the things that I wrote it down, is I forgive myself because there was so much guilt and judgment and blame. And I said, I forgive you. I just wrote it over and over and over. I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. That's the first thing. The second thing is, it was the first time I proactively asked God for not help, but for wisdom. Please give me the wisdom. I said, because I know that I'm intelligent. I've been here for a minute. I've done 46 years. I've done all right. I said, I need the wisdom and to be able to discern. And from there, I remember when I first moved to Baltimore, I moved in. Do I have time to share this quick story?
You absolutely do. Please. Yes.
I moved to Baltimore in a beautiful 2-bedroom house with exposed brick. It was dreamy, hardwood floors. And no one told me that they have these red ticket cameras here. They're $100 a pop. No one told me. And I wasn't paying attention because I'm out there driving, getting those numbers and making that money. I accumulated about $1,800 in tickets in under 2 months.
Wow.
My heart fell through my body. I thought I took care of them, paid my deposit, paid my rent. I got another one that said, you owe $600. If you don't pay it by this day, we're going to revoke the car, because I was through the rental program. I said, if I don't have a car, I can't make money. I can't pay my rent. I'm going to die. See, again, life and death. It was the first time I ever not wanted to commit suicide, but I just didn't want to be here. It's like if there was a magical pill I could take to go to sleep forever, that's what I wanted. I cried myself to sleep. I said, God, give me the wisdom. I've got to figure this out. Voila. I said, if I can go to the gym the next morning, I know I'm going to be okay. I figured it out. I'll share that story in my book. But it was amazing because when I say I figured it out, I had that money the very next day, $600 that I didn't have. And so
Wow.
prayer is wonderful. Whether it's not about religion, what denomination you subscribe to, but it's about having that connection with God. And those are the two things I did. I affirmed who I was, and I asked God for wisdom. And I still do that. God, give me the wisdom because I know that I'm bright. I know that I can do this. But there might be something that I'm not seeing. I'm not connecting the dots. There might be something I'm not saying. Those are my two takeaways. That's what worked for me. And that's what still works for me.
I love that because on so many levels, but scripturally, I know that asking for wisdom is in the Bible a lot. And so I think a lot of people, when you pray, when you meditate, you're looking for the solution. But I think asking for wisdom is such a little bit of a higher level of that. But all right, so I want people to know how to get a hold of you. I want people to be able to reach out to you. I think I have the website down there, but if somebody wants to learn more about your upcoming book, if somebody wants to learn more about what you do and follow your journey, what's the best way for them to reach you?
The best way is Instagram and Facebook. So IG is Fees, Fees, fitness over 40. Fees fitness over 40. And then Facebook is Run Pray, Pray, Heal, HEAL. Run Pray Heal.
I love it. You're amazing. I absolutely love that. Thank you from the heart for sharing what you did. I appreciate that. People, don't be afraid to show your emotions and get it out because it's good, it's cathartic, and it is just another step in your progress. So I am so thankful that you came on today. I'm so thankful that you allowed us to kind of have a little insight into your journey. You're amazing. Thank you, Fee.
Thank you so much, Ted. And I hope that we're connected forever.
Forever. Agreed.
Forever.
All right, Fee King, you're the best. You guys will be back another time.